Hey everybody, welcome inside our Visit Syracuse broadcast booth with Jack Gordon. I'm Michael Tricarico. Ton of fun here at the ballpark today. There was a ton of fun last night, Jack. A walk-off win for the Mets, their first walk-off win of the season.
St. Denis over at first, and Carpenter drills it deep left field. A coach, he turns, goodbye home run.
Here's the 1-0. Swing and a line drive, right center field, down for a hit, penetrating the gap to the wall. Williams has scored. Benj is being waved around third. The throw home is not in time.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Breaking ball, cold strike 3, he got him. Juju Stevens leads off the 9th, and the first pitch from Daly to second, and a catch made from Fulford, the freshman. Came in as a defensive replacement, and no wonder the 34-year head coach Tim Sinicki had the right guy for the job.
Tucks the corners.
Pitch here lifted in the air, well hit right field, or racing back at the wall. It's off the wall for a hit. Pepe scores, Stevens scores, Andres on his horse racing around third. He scores without a throw. Quinn Murphy blasts it off the wall and puts Maine in front early 3-0. Both games that UMBC played in, this ball hit top to the right side. St. Denis knocks it down, tosses to first, in time for the play. Oh, the freshman playing some excellent defense to back up Friedman. You've used that word tumbles. What does that pitch look like as it spins coming towards the plate? What is this conversation like at this point? You got runners at second and third. You still have the lead, but you're feeling much less comfortable than you were just 5 minutes ago. You were a great hitter in college. What's it like when you are in that zone where it just feels like it's a beach ball that you're swinging at down there? Tommy Popoff, first team all-conference selection for the Bearcats. Sophomore who had just 17 at-bats last year, but this season hit better than 300. Darn good football player in high school as well. Was an all-conference quarterback. Teammates called him Tommy Pop. This has been a season for Maine that was not all sunshine and roses. They lost 16 games in a row between February 21st and March 21st. A month-long stretch without winning a game. A month later, April 21st, they beat 22nd ranked Boston College 6-4. And we talked to Nick Durba, the head coach for this Maine team, and asked him, how do you get your team through that? And he said, look, this team is just really embodied process. And it's a choice that every individual has to make just to get better, to not sulk, and to continually improve every day. And now they find themselves with a 1-run lead beginning the 8th inning against number 2 seed UMBC in the second day of the conference tournament. Brian, what have you seen from this Maine team yesterday and out today where they're at this point? Paul Menhart was a World Series winning pitching coach for the Washington Nationals, and I know when he was the pitching coach in AAA with Syracuse, the Chiefs at the time, he would say his main goal a majority of the time was just to get the pitcher to crack a smile when he came out. Just loosen up just a little bit. It was about midway through conference play that UMBC was coming back from a series at Maine. They lost 2 out of 3 games, and head coach Liam Bowen said, my key card to get into the athletic facility stopped working. And he's thinking, is there something going on that I don't know about? They proceeded to win 7 of their last 9 conference games, had an 8-3 overall record in May to end the regular season. Coach Bowen, as he was talking to us earlier this week, was trying to swipe into the building, and the key card still didn't work. But he looked at the key cards. Oh, the magnetic strip's coming off.
It's going to skip a little bit.
Sweeney skipping this over to first, and St. Denis touches the bag for the second out of the frame. That ball off the turf like a rock skipping off a pond.
The ball was fair, and then skipped foul. And Jaschinski put both arms in the air and waved them side to side like an uncoordinated windshield wiper. Here's the 0-1. High and in, and Williams goes down to the dirt. Was positioned like he was playing Twister. Left foot blue, right hand red. Binghamton coming to bat for the first time today, and Tim Sinicki's gone with the same lineup now for all 3 games his team has played in here in the conference tournament.
Scored 3 runs in the first game, 6 with the come-from-behind victory yesterday against Maine. And what do you expect from Binghamton offense here tonight?
Well, this is a club that lost a lot of firepower from last year. You lost Bade and Sullivan and Rogacki and Haskell and Forgione. So, coming into the season, Coach Schnickley was looking for a little bit more production offensively on a smaller scale, looking to maybe get a couple bunts down, move runners over. They're not going to bang it around like St. Denis and Carpenter and those guys from Maine. So they're going to play a kind of a conservative brand of baseball. But you're going to see it tonight. I think the big thing with Binghamton's offense is they're going to have to put quality at bats together and, maybe drive pitch counts up early with Hauser. He's a big frame, he's a big kid. Obviously you can see the numbers there. He'll strike you out, almost a punch out an inning. But he has had some success at the high school level. He's a multi-sport athlete, so he's a guy that's kind of been under the big lights before at the high school level, and he's a two-way guy with Maine. But I think that's what Binghamton has to do is kind of drive that pitch count up a little bit and really try to expose some of the bullpen arms that maybe Maine would rather wait till tomorrow to use if in fact they get there.
And a solid defense this week for Maine. It's had to be, playing in their 5th game in 4 days, and Braylon Gonzalez leads off for the Bearcats. Talented sophomore, and the first pitch from Hauser. This is for ball 1. We need to talk about Hauser. Last year, he's leading his team to the Vermont State Championship. Now in his freshman year, he's pitching in a America East Conference Championship game.
These guys, there's not a coincidence that guys that find a little success at the high school level, obviously winning a state championship and a lot of high accolades in both sports, baseball and basketball. Obviously gets the call. Coach Durbin felt he was the guy that he wanted to go to. He's been under the big lights before, and I'm sure he'll handle this with the right composure.
Guy was born in Manhattan, lived in Hoboken, New Jersey for 5 years before moving to Vermont. And he's got a tall task in front of him. Has not thrown more than 43 pitches in an outing this season, facing a Binghamton team that can certainly be patient. Seeing that from Gonzalez with a 3-1 count. Big swing from Braylon, and full count to begin this bottom of the first inning. Rained all day. Finally, the rain has subsided, setting up this conference championship battle. 3-2. Sharply hit to short. Bear vacuums it up and makes the play to first. 1 away. How do you notice the ball play differently as the wet turf plays?
Mike, we were talking about it in between innings. The ground ball to Stelrek prior to Binghamton coming up kind of ate him up a little bit. Obviously, Bear stayed down on it. What you can do in the dugouts as well is you can watch the game, even though you're not playing defense. You can watch to see how the ball actually reacts, and it's obvious it's going to skip a little bit.
Sweeney skipping this over to first, and St. Denis touches the bag for the second out of the frame. That ball off the turf like a rock skipping off a pond.
I remember doing that when we were little. Growing up, you try to get how many skips and a little flat rock there, and you kind of fire it across the water and try to get as many as you can. And that's what these ground balls are going to kind of look like now. The guys will eventually adjust to it. It's going to take a little bit of time, the cool air, but there's no wind, so it's not going to dry out at all. But they'll make an adjustment. These, obviously playing in the Northeast, they're used to these conditions. It could be, feels like 38 or 39, or it could be 70. These guys they're playing for a championship.
Matt Bolton at the plate for Binghamton. Star in the heart of that order for Tim Sinicki's squad. He's had such a great week and a patient week so far at the plate. Bolton, guy who's worked 4 walks, 2 for 5 at the plate. Just kind of lets the game come to him, doesn't he? Yeah,
he leads Binghamton in so many different categories. Just kind of looking here, you try to do your due diligence, do a little work to help out the broadcast, but you're looking at about 7-8 categories offensively that Bolton leads the ball club in. So he's a guy that player of the year accolades. certainly in the mix on any of those kind of conversations. But 3-1 pitch here, I would expect him to probably a green light here. If anything close, I think he's going to let it go.
Bolton does let it go and hits it off of De La Rosa's glove into center field for the first hit of the ball game. 2-out single for Bolton. That ball just pops and springs off his bat, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds different. He hit a ball yesterday that sounded different, I remember. And that's what good hitters do. They generate bat speed. Any type, these big high-velocity guys now, Hauser's going to be around 90, 91. It sounds different. They're generating more bat speed. The impact, the sound level, you're going to hear it differently. Obviously, we heard it right there.
Brings Tommy Popoff to the plate. Another sophomore guy who only had 17 at-bats last year, but was playing behind some talented catchers, and now he's getting his opportunity. A guy who come up at a couple of big spots this week, but is still looking for his first hit. 0 for 8 with a walk, pair of strikeouts, puts the ball in play generally. Yeah, hit better than 300 during the regular season. Bolton, guy over at first base that always has the green light to steal, 15 for 15 in stolen bases, and you certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Bolton take off at some point here. There he goes. And a foul tip from Popoff. 1-2 count here with 2 outs in the bottom of the first.
Mike, we talked about this before with Bolton. With a green light, his own green light, he doesn't get a big lead. He doesn't get a big primary lead. He kind of trusts his jump and he trusts his speed. So it is kind of interesting. You kind of look over there at camera angle. It kind of flops down to first base if they throw over. He's not that far off, but he's got a lot of raw speed.
Grounded to third. Carpenter across the diamond. And it's a pair of scoreless half innings for both teams as we go to the second in this America East Championship on Memorial Day weekend.